Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'm going to show you how to calculate and cut and sew a perfect fitting off shoulder sleeve, not those ones that when you're done sewing it will be falling off your shoulders. You guys can see that this is a flared blouse and the off shoulder sleeve sat perfectly on it. So I'm going to show you how to cut and sew it in a minute. Make sure you keep watching. So there are two basic measurements we need, like two very important measurements, my shoulders and my overarm. So you guys know that if maybe somebody was measuring me, they will measure from my one side of my shoulder to the other side of my shoulder. But since I'm measuring myself, I'm just going to measure from like the middle of my neck to one side of my shoulder. Whatever I get there, I multiply by 2. So this is giving me my shoulder at 16 inches because I measured 8 inches here times 2 is 16 inches. So that is the length of my shoulder. Then I'm going to go over to measure my overarm, and the measurement of my overarm is 43 inches. Now you want to make this firm, you don't want to make it loose, because this is what you need to get the perfect fitting off shoulder sleeve. Okay, so I have 43 inches here. I was pointing 42.5 inches, but it's 43 inches. Now there are measurements we need to keep in mind for this tutorial to flow. Do you understand? So my overarm is 43 inches and the abbreviation for that is OV. My shoulder is 16 inches, the abbreviation for that is SH. My sleeve, SL, that's the abbreviation. Then each sleeve is ESL. Now there's a formula here that I want you to keep in mind. The formula is OV, which is overarm, minus 2 bracket SH, that's equals sleeve. Okay, so that's 43 minus, you know, whatever my shoulder is, that's 2 times my shoulder equals my sleeve. Okay, then to get each sleeve, that's the circumference of each sleeve is SL divided by 2. Now it's a little confusing. I just want us to go ahead to prepare the bodies. As we go along, you guys would, you know, understand what I'm trying to explain to you. Now I said earlier in the beginning of this video that this is just a flared top, so you can prepare your bodies if it's like a normal basic blouse or flared, but for this tutorial I'm working with a flared top. So I marked my circumference of my neckline at 10 inches because, see, you guys don't get confused, I need to mark 8 inches for my shoulder point, but you guys know we need to insert the, what's it called, the armhole curve. So I marked 10 inches, so I'll have enough allowance to insert my armhole curve. So after that I went ahead to mark the length of the flared at 20 inches. Just stay with me guys. What I'm doing here basically is cutting a flared that I will use to prepare my bodies. So if you don't want to sew a flared top, you can go ahead to cut like maybe a basic blouse, a gown, whatever you want to insert your off shoulder into. Now after marking out the portion I need for the flared, I just went ahead to cut it out. Okay, so we're going to cut 2 pieces, of course 2 pieces of flared, one for the front part and one for the back part. Sometimes cutting a flared blouse is very tricky and most people shy away from it. Just know that that point where you're supposed to make it curvy, since it's a flared blouse, just make it straight. Okay, so this is the first piece for the blouse. I'm going to go ahead and lay it on another fabric, and I'm going to cut the second piece for the back part. Okay, like I said, it's very tricky cutting the top part of the flared, especially when you are sewing a blouse. So if you're sewing a blouse, just make it straight, but if you're sewing maybe for the waistline or for a gown, you can now make it curvy. Okay, so now that we are done cutting the flared, the next thing I'm going to go ahead to do now is to mark my shoulder point, and my shoulder is 16, so I'm going to mark 8 inches. You guys see why I needed about 10 inches, right? Then I'm going to extend my tape by 4 inches, and I'm going to go ahead to mark 9 inches downwards. Okay, then I'm just going to insert the armhole curve. Very simple, very easy breezy, like I love to say. Okay guys, so after marking in the armhole curve, The next thing I'm going to go ahead to do is to cut the armhole. So that is 8 inches. Okay, I wanted to repeat my measurement. 8 inches, and for the armhole depth I cut 9 inches, right? So I just went ahead to cut out my armhole curve. So this is what we have here. We're just going to prepare the bodies quickly. Okay, I'm going to attach the facing to turn over the neckline for both sides of the blouse, that's both the front part and the back part. So this is me attaching the facing to turn over the neckline of the blouse. So after joining it, I'm going to go ahead to flip it over, then I'm going to give it a really good top stitch. You guys know that for it not to be puffy and be jumping out like puff puff, you have to top stitch it and probably hem it down or use your sealer gum. So this is what we have here. I've gone ahead to turn over the neckline for the front part and the back part, and I'm just, you know, aligning the front part and the back part together, securing with a pin. Then I'm going to do the same for the other side. You want to make sure everything is well aligned, especially if you are working with a flared blouse, whether it's a flared or your normal basic, you know, blouse. Just make sure everything is well aligned. Okay, so I went ahead to join the sides, and I'm going to turn over the hem of the blouse. Okay, so I just took it over to my sewing machine. This is more like a really free blouse, so I just joined the sides on 1/2 inch sewing allowance. Okay, so I did this for both sides, and I also went ahead to turn over the hem of the blouse. Okay, if you don't know how to sew like a curving hem, I have a detailed tutorial here on this channel. Check it out, link in the description box. Okay, now after joining the sides, this is what we have here. Joining the sides and turning over the hem, this is what we have here. It's almost time to attach the sleeve. That's my armhole curve for both sides. That's the neckline. As you can see, this is just the simple thing we have here. Now the next thing we're going to go ahead to do is to determine, you know, to measure out what is left of our shoulders. So I'm taking the measurement of my shoulder now, and it's 16 inches. Although the tape moved a little bit, but it's 16 inches, guys. Now one thing we are going to do, remember the measurement we talked about. Now it's time to use the formula. So OV minus 2 bracket SH, which is the shoulder, equals SL, which is the sleeve. So my overarm is 43 minus, you know, 2 bracket 16 is equals to 11. Let me just, and is equals to the sleeve, not equals to 11, is equals to the sleeve. So 2 times 16 is 32. So 43 minus 32, that will give us 11. So the entire length for both sleeves, okay, is 11 inches. Now to get the particular circumference of each sleeve, like the circumference for the sleeve on the left hand side and the circumference for the sleeve on the right hand side, which is this formula here, each sleeve will now give me ESL equals SL, which is the sleeve, divided by 2. So my sleeve is 11 inches. So 11 inches divided by 2 will give me 5.5 inches. Now to round it up so that we will not have like confusion, marking out 5.5 inches will give us 6 inches, which means each circumference, that the circumference of each sleeve is going to be 6 inches. So to cut the sleeve, I'm just going to fold my fabric into 2. And I'm going to fold it again like so, like this. People have said I should stop saying like so, so like this, but someone comes for me in the comment section. Then I'm just going to draw a straight line to start. Okay, I'm going to draw a very straight line to start, so we have like a good starting point, right? Then from that point, I'm going to extend my tape downwards and mark 3 inches for the length of this sleeve. Okay, so 3 inches for the length of the sleeve. So after marking 3 inches, I'm going to use my ruler again and draw a straight line. Now it's time to mark the width of the sleeve. So we determined that the circumference for each sleeve is 6 inches. Since it's on a fold, I'm going to mark 3 inches because by the time we open it up, it's going to give me 6 inches. Do you guys understand? Now I'm going to go to the bottom part and I'm going to mark 4 inches. You know why? The armhole is not straight, the armhole is curvy, so as you go downwards the sleeve increases. So that's why I'm going to mark 4 inches for the bottom part of the sleeve. Okay, do you guys understand? You guys know that the armhole is not straight, it is curvy, it is slanty, so that's why you see a lot of your off shoulders like this. So after marking 3 on top, 4 below, I went ahead to connect my markings with a slanted line. Then I added 1/2 inch sewing allowance. Can you guys see how straightforward it is to get the perfect fitting off shoulder? Now those measurements I mentioned, you know, those are my measurements. So when you're working with the formula, make sure you input your own measurement. Now because I want this sleeve to be a little slanted, not exactly straight, I'm going to go to the center part and I'm going to mark 0.5 inches. That's 1/2 inch on both sides. Then I'm going to use my ruler and connect my markings together. Okay, I'm just going to slant it in, you know, the way you slant in your ATM or sliding your ATM into the ATM machine, your ATM card into your ATM machine. That's what I just did here. Dry joke. Okay guys, this is what we have here. Okay, so from here to here is 3 inches. Okay, therefore from there to there is 4 inches because of the armhole curve. We added just 1 extra inch. Then I went ahead to add 1/2 inch sewing allowance. Okay, understood? And this is 1/2 inch, you know, curve, then 1/2 inch curve, right? You guys understand? Now I'm just going to go ahead to cut out my sleeve. It is this simple, guys. It was this simple. It is this simple. Okay, if you're enjoying this tutorial, if you've gotten to this point of the video, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you also hit the like button. Now it's time to cut the facing for this sleeve, and what I just did is I just put the fabric, the sleeve I've already cut on another fabric, and I just cut out a bigger piece because I'm going to use the bigger piece to turn over the sleeve. Okay, so just look at what I'm going to do next. Now these are my sleeve pieces. The next thing I'm going to go ahead to do is get that bigger piece, you know, place the sleeve on the bigger piece like this, you know, and I'm going to join both sides. I'm not going to seal I'm going to join, you know, the top and the bottom. I'm not going to seal the sides. Okay, so I took it over to my sewing machine and I ran stitches on the top and the bottom, but I left the sides open. Understand? How do you say understand in French? Someone should tell me in the comment section. Understandez-moi? Okay, you guys can see what I'm doing. You understand, right? You understand, right? I know you do. Okay guys, so I did this for both sleeves. That's both the left hand side of the sleeve. Is it for the left hand side? Well, for both pieces of the sleeve. Before I speak English, I don't know. Okay. I just hope you guys will not flog me. I'm high on too much rice. I ate rice before I came to do this voiceover, guys. Okay, so this is what we have here. I'm done sealing the top part and the bottom part for both pieces of the sleeve, and I'm just going to you know, cut out the excess that I don't need. And I did this for, you know, for both pieces. Then there's something very important you need to do when it comes to this sleeve. For the sleeve to be, you know, for it to be well relaxed, you know, there's some off-shoulder sleeve, you'll be seeing the lining puffing out. That is wrong. Okay, so we're just going to make little slits all over the sewing allowance, that the seam allowance. You're going to make little slits so that by the time you turn it over, it's going to relax. Do you understand? It's going to relax. So I did this for both pieces of the sleeve. Then I turned it over. By the time you turn it over, you notice that it is puffy, but not to worry, not to worry. We're just going to give it a good press with our, you know, pressing iron. Make sure it's a good steaming iron. Press the life out of it. So this is after turning over both pieces. This is what we have here. So these are, You can see it's puffy. I'm just going to give it a good press. After giving it a good press, I went ahead to top stitch it. Now you might not need to top stitch it. Sometimes I top stitch mine, sometimes I don't. For this tutorial, I top stitched it, and this is what we have here. This is what it looks like. Okay, the next thing we are going to do is we're going to attach the sleeve to the blouse. We're going to attach the sleeve to the blouse. You want to make sure you mark the top part of the sleeve so that you would not fix the bottom part that is, you know, longer, you know, on the top part of the sleeve. Do you guys understand? So that part that is 3 inches, make sure you mark it. Anyway, it's very visible, but I noticed that some people make, you know, the mistake and, you know, sew the bottom part on the top part. So just make sure you mark it, you don't forget. For the off shoulder sleeve, the beauty about off shoulder sleeve is when it's well aligned. Okay, so after attaching the sleeve by and securing a pin, I'm just going to join it, you know, with straight stitches, and I'm going to turn over my armhole with a bias, maybe a bias tape or a bias tape I made from the fabric. So I took over to my sewing machine and I joined the sleeve to the blouse. I joined the sleeve to the blouse. You can see that I made sure it is well aligned. You don't want maybe the sleeve to be longer than the blouse, or the blouse to be longer than the sleeve. You know, it will make the off shoulder come out really beautiful. So you want to make sure it's well aligned. So I made this bias tape from the fabric, and I'm just going to use it to turn over the armhole curve of, you know, of this blouse. So first of all, you guys see what I did over there. I'm just going to join it, turn it over. You really want to take your time when it comes to finishing your blouses, because that's the beauty of the blouse. Then I went ahead to cut out the excess, folded it in when I got to the edge. Then I finished up joining it. Then I went ahead to, you know, flip it to the other side, and I gave it a really good top stitch. Now the remaining thing you have to do is you have to use like your hemming needle and hemming stitches to hem down the rest part of the bias. And guys, at this point you are done with the blouse. Look at the sleeve, guys. Can't you see how well fitted? This is a flared blouse. It's not a very fitted blouse, and you guys can see how well fitted, you know, the sleeve is on the blouse. It's this simple and this easy to get a perfectly, you know, seated off shoulder sleeve on, you know, off your shoulders. It's not like falling off. It's just, you know, somewhere in between off the shoulders, you know, on the arm, making you look beautiful and pretty. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and notification bell so that whenever I post a video, you will get notified. Also, don't forget to follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Stitchadress, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys.